Paddy was chosen as the parliamentary candidate for the Sherwood constituency in 1990 and we campaigned hard for him for 2 years before the election in 1992.
Tipping, Simon Patrick, Labour, 29,000.
I'm proud to represent the people of Sherwood and I look forward to working for change for the people of this area. Thank you very much.
He was a social worker before he became a politician. I think Paddy genuinely went into politics because he wanted to change the way in which he saw things on the ground and actually do something positive and make a difference.
He has been very ambitious for the people he's represented, for the people of the Sherwood constituency.
An important part of the campaigning that he did was around the coal industry.
When Paddy was elected as an MP, we obviously had a commitment from the then Conservative government to privatise the coal industry, and Paddy was a very helpful contact in Parliament for all the mining unions to represent the case to try and proceed with privatisation in a manner that was least damaging from our point of view to the coal industry.
Paddy always liked to go down the pit.
Paddy was very forthright in stressing the value of the indigenous coal industry, what we did for balance of payments, what we did for employment, and was a very good person to argue on behalf of the industry.
It was always about the constituency and it was always about trying to get the best for people in Sherwood.
What immediately struck me about Paddy, that he was more than a politician. I felt he was a sincere and decent human being at the same time, who had others' interest at his heart.
He was twice worked as a PPS for Jack Straw, that's Parliamentary Private Secretary.
And Paddy had all the skills that were needed to be a really brilliant PPS. Crucially, he's absolutely straightforward. He's replete with integrity. He's very bright, and so he would gain people's confidence, and people who might be disagreeing with me, and that's what you need to know more than who's agreeing with you, would be able to talk to Paddy in confidence, and Paddy would then relay that to me. And on a number of occasions, to use the current cliche, he would certainly speak the truth to power, however uncomfortable, in this case, this bit of power, might find it. So he was wonderful, and I was very sorry for me, but not for him, when he got promoted to work as Deputy Leader of the House of Commons in 1999. He then came back to me in my last year as Foreign Secretary between 2005 and 6. And then when I moved to become Leader of the House of Commons, he came with me and he performed the same role there.
Paddy was very well respected in the House as an expert on energy and coal in particular. And I think that was reflected towards the end of his career when he was made up to be the chairman of the select committee that covered this field.
He worked hard for a long number of years on the CRRO Act, the right to roam, working with local Ramblers groups and as Vice President of the National Ramblers. And eventually, of course, the CRRO Act went on to the statute book. We often needed good ideas for stunts to publicise certain events, and Paddy was good at coming up with those sorts of things. He was asked by Centre Parks to open their new aerial walkway. When he got back, he said, "Why did I go and do that? It was terrifying, you know." It's like, well, because you can't say no to anybody. That's why you went.
It probably took him half an hour to walk down the high street because he'd stop and talk to everybody.
No matter whether it were raining, pouring, snowing, no matter what it was, he's been out there with the rest of us and he's been taking the leaflets and pushing them through doors, speaking to people. He never left anybody out, and that was the main thing.
This one was 2001, when we were all celebrating a successful election again. He stood for 4 elections and then announced his retirement just before the last general election.
I went through the general election campaign, obviously hoping to take over from Paddy in his seat. And I can honestly say there was no better support for me personally to ask advice, gave me a lot of confidence, I think, and that says something about Paddy, that he's not pushing himself for the limelight, but he wants to help and push other people.
Even Paddy's opponents liked him. He was, you know, a very likeable man.
He's been a wonderful friend to everybody, a brilliant constituency MP. No job too big for him, no jobs too small for him.
I spoke at an annual dinner for Paddy a few years ago. What was striking about that was the affection and support which he had from his own constituency, and not just his constituency Labour Party, but a wide cross-section of the community from the constituency of Sherwood. And the reason he had that affection and respect was because of his dedication, for that's what it was, to the people of the area, regardless of their political opinions or beliefs. So he really was embedded in his community, Mr. Sherwood.
Paddy Tipping, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, one of the things that didn't come out in the video is that I've got a really big family, and most of them appeared in that, you know. You've got to say nice things about you. But the other thing about my family is that we had our fair share of disadvantage. You know, we're the kind of family that when I was a kid, when the welfare officer used to come round, we used to hide under the table because we thought we were going to get taken into care. So coming to Nottingham University from that background was really a big life-changing experience for me. I mean, people from my generation, it's a truism, but I was the first person from the Tipping family who'd ever been to university and got a degree. And 40 years ago, coming up the road here, I mean, you won't believe this now, but I'd hardly ever been in a car before, and seeing students who owned cars, who give you a lift, quite astonishing. And the notion that you pick up a bottle of champagne and spray it around and not drink it, well, from a Puritan background like mine, it was pretty tough going. And I remember coming up to the Trent building, and this was a wonderful experience. And I went to get, they used to have them in those days, my grant cheque. The grant cheque was for £114 and 2 pence. And nobody in my family had ever had 114 and 2 pence in their hand before. And it was to come and have a good time. And I mean, I just thought, I've made it, you know. And I'd never been to the theatre before. And in my first week, some of us went down to the Playhouse to see The Alchemist, turning base metal into gold. And it really rang true for me, and going to the theatre and seeing, you know, the action and the performance and drama really was a life-changing experience. And there were other experiences too. The university then and now used to have a very strong student community action group. And I got involved in working, this dates me, working with skinheads in St Anne's through the university, and you know, had the tough times and been threatened with bottles, and ultimately I wrote my first paper about gangs and gangs culture, and it was published in New Society on the 25th of December, and it just shows, doesn't it, that academics work all the year round. 300, never rest even on Christmas Day. And then I went on to work with black and Asian kids in Nottingham, and the university were really very good because for a number of years we ran summer schools here up at the university. And it always used to really fascinate me and enthuse me that the black and Asian kids from the middle of town were using facilities that people from Harrow and Eton had been using the week before. And that kind of involvement in the community really was important. That really is one of the strengths of the university here in Nottingham, the way that it reaches out into the community. And over 30 years in public life, all kinds of departments at the university have provided me with real help and real thought and information, from some of the language departments, from architecture, the Department of Economics, politics and social sciences. They've always been there to help. People at the university have always been on my Christmas card list, you know, been able to ring them up and say, just explain that to me again. And they don't mind when I rang up a couple of weeks later and said, I've forgotten that, you know, just explain that again to me. And the university has been an enormous power for good in Nottingham. And those of us who know the new Jubilee campus and see how it's transformed the old industrial area into Radford, into a place of aspiration, really can be proud of what the university's achieved. And I just think this is a time to reflect. I really don't know what the big society means, but I do know that we need a bigger and better society. And I do know that universities and the chance to give people new and different life chances are so important. And I do know that universities funded by the public sector, bringing the private sector in and taking alongside civil society, are ideally placed as engines for change. And I think things are going to be really tough. We've got Lord Brown to publish his findings about university funding into the future next month. We've got the Comprehensive Spending Review on the 20th of October. And I think it all spells out tough times for universities. What I just wanted to say very simply and very directly is that for people like me, this university has made all the difference. This university has made differences for many, many thousands of people from tough backgrounds like mine. And we need to admire that and aspire to that and support that. What strikes me looking round the room is that by and large we're a group of people who are really well connected. We're a group of people who've got some muscle. And in the tough times to come, what I think we've got to say is we've got to aspire for things better for our families, our communities. And however tough it is for universities into the future, we've got to be there, we've got to be shouting for them, we've got to be supporting them. So thanks to Nottingham University. Thanks for what they've done for me, and thanks for what they're going to do into the future. Thank you very much.